What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. As we were talking about right now, we're saying just I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but they fired a bunch of park rangers
over the past few days.
Yeah, and
like over 4,000, I think.
Yeah,
and
it was about that.
Like 10-15% of the amount we have in this whole country. It's fucking nuts.
I do think they're gonna try to drill and other stuff on national parks. I mean, he was trying to do that in his last
That's what
time.
he said, but I don't know. I feel like there has to be some protections. I always thought our national parks were protected.
They are, but you can reverse that.
Oh my god, I hate it here. I fucking hate it here. The one last thing that is keeping some people from jumping off buildings.
National parks are really important.
Of course they are.
Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, but all right. Well, this
Max.
is episode 268.
He'll never know what it's like to be a human. And pay taxes.
I know. Max, when are you going to start contributing?
Come here, cutie. Come on, we need to bait people to subscribe. Come here. Hello. You need to participate. Tell them to subscribe.
All right. So today we're going to do a video called Europe's Future, U.S. Vassal or Independent Power. And essentially, I guess it means is Europe going to continue to be an ally in the future? And we don't know because I feel like it's very uncertain right now, with tensions between us and every other country, every other major country that we trade with.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah.
And if you think we're fine, we're not. And I know that it looks like on the surface, everything's okay, how bad could it be? No one here is okay, unless you wear a red hat.
Yeah.
And even you're not okay. You just don't understand that you're not okay.
Yeah, I think it takes, especially here, it has to get to the point where it affects specific people for them to actually start to care about other people. But yeah. All right, let's see.
Can you assure this audience that Ukrainians will be at the table and Europeans will be at the table?
The answer is no.
Well, that's pretty clear, isn't it? Europe doesn't get a say. And at a time of intensifying great power competition, the EU faces a defining moment. Continue drifting into a vassal-like dependency on the US, or break free and steer its own course. And last week made that choice painfully clear. From democracy lectures to economic pressure to Ukraine peace talks, top US officials went out of their way to remind Europe who's in charge. And it wasn't subtle.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within. The retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States of America. We've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of...
I hate this rhetoric of freedom of speech thing because the right used it very... how do I say it? It worked in their favor, the way they used it. Because they were saying how we need to save our free speech here and how we don't want to end up like Europe and other places that don't have free speech. But in reality, you guys do have free speech. You guys have a lot of freedoms. And we like to paint this image that we're the only free country in this world, which is, it's stupid because there's been many cases where if people that have followings speak out against Trump or Elon, they censor them. They get upset and they fucking cancel them.
I mean, look, when you have Elon, CEO of a whole social media platform, and then you have what's his face? Zuckerberg.
Oh yeah, taking away fact checking.
Another one. It's just
they're all in bed with each other, the billionaires, and that's what, whether you're left or right, you should be afraid that things are being run by a group of billionaires. That's a recipe for disaster. I know Democrats are corrupt and I know Republicans are corrupt, but goddamn.
Didn't we stop funding Ukraine? I could have sworn.
I think we're still dealing with it.
What are you dealing with it?
Like, I think they're still trying to figure out if they're going to want to do that.
I could have sworn I've seen a few... I could have sworn I've seen from a few sources that we stopped funding them, but I don't know.
We might have, but
don't
yet
know
we
it's
sent
real anymore.
we sent $8 billion in arms to Israel. So
Yeah.
I mean, the whole it was stupid too how they were saying that he's gonna be the president of peace and stop all the wars and shit. It's like I knew that wasn't gonna happen. The military is too profitable, and there's too it's just never gonna happen. All
right. Democracy, but when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values. We must live them.
That was the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, stepping onto European...
Sorry. Why is he saying...
He's pretty much saying, like, Europe, you need to fall in line with what we want and our values. Like, you have to follow what we want, or otherwise it's going to...
But who gave him the idea that he had democratic values? That's what I'm confused by.
This delusional world they all live in where they think that...
in soil, and with a straight face lecturing the EU about democracy and free speech. He accused Europe of suppressing free speech, failing to control migration, and most dramatically, of running in fear from voters. And at this point, we have to ask...
You mean the people you're supposed to be serving?
Is there anything more ironic than a senior figure in Trump's White House pointing a finger at Europe about democracy? Let's talk facts. Trump, Vance's boss, tried to overturn the 2020 election results. He fueled conspiracy theories, pressured officials to find votes, and when that didn't work, he incited a mob to storm the US Capitol. And he also suggested...
I still don't understand how a lot of Americans defend that, and they'll always try to turn it around like, well, you know...
they're saving.
Yeah, or so it's just insane to me. Like, the thing is, like, I will say when Trump does something good, like, there was something that he... is trying to do in an executive order that is actually good. Is he's trying to expand IVF treatment for people?
Because he wants more little slaves in this country.
Yeah,
he wants people to have kids.
I will say,
you know how dangerous it is to IVF? Like, imagine if there was a federal abortion ban. That would include people getting IVF, and if it fails, or if they have a miscarriage.
But that would contradict him trying to expand it.
He wants it more accessible to people. So, in my opinion, probably more affordable, because I know it's not cheap.
Yeah, it is very expensive.
He's not doing that because he really cares about families who struggle to have kids. He wants more little children out here. He's a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, there's usually always an ulterior motive.
Yeah, he doesn't care about women in the slightest.
Yeah.
Last year, that if he lost 2024, he might have just rejected those results too. And free speech? Let's look at where the US really stands. A study by World Population Review ranks the US below many European nations when it comes to press freedom and free expression. Unsurprisingly, European politicians were not amused.
If I understood him correctly, he compares the condition of Europe with the condition that prevails in some authoritarian regimes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not acceptable. In our democracy, every opinion has a voice, and it makes it possible for parties that are partly extremist, such as the AfD, and they can campaign just as any other party. This is democracy.
And speaking of the AfD, Vance went straight from his speech to meeting with Germany's AfD party, standing alongside Elon Musk in a show of support for European populists. But still,
there's a lot of people too that are just like, I'm gonna use a Gen Z term, that are just like glazing Elon and like all this shit, and I'm just like, bro, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about you. None of these billionaires do. And I saw a few comments on the other video were saying like, oh, get over it, like Kamala didn't win, whatever, blah blah blah.
Which video?
The last one we did. Look, if by now you guys
Why
don't
would
realize...
I get over it? I don't understand, guys. We're in a toxic relationship with our government, and it's like, just get over it.
What I'm trying to say is,
we don't like, our pride isn't. At least me. I'm not like, oh, we won, or we lost. I don't give a fuck about winning or losing. We all lost, if you think about it. It doesn't matter if you voted for him or not.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that we know that Democratic Party is also corrupt and is fueled by lobbyists and donors. We get that. We
That's the
usually
problem.
try to advocate for a different type of government. That's what we believe should happen. But yeah.
Listen,
It wasn't done.
There's a
Days
difference
earlier-
between being Democrat and Republican and then being a fucking MAGA.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother
It's kind of like
bracket.
it's a cult, pretty much.
Yeah, that's...
Earlier at the Paris AI Summit, he had another message for Europe. Stop regulating American tech companies.
The United States of America is the leader in AI, and our administration
We're not.
plans to keep it that way.
is.
By
Yeah.
preserving an open regulatory environment, we've encouraged American innovators to experiment and to make unparalleled R&D investments. Of the $700 billion, give or take, that's estimated to be spent on AI in 2028, over half of it will likely be invested in the United States of America. Now, we invite your countries to work with us and to follow that model if it makes sense for your nations. However, the Trump administration is troubled by reports that some foreign governments are considering tightening the screws on U.S. tech companies with international footprints. Many of our most productive tech
That would be me, the guy holding
was
his
like-
phone.
companies are forced to deal with the EU's Digital Services Act and the massive regulations it created about taking down content and policing so-called misinformation. Now, America cannot and will not accept that, and we think it's
Why should we not police misinformation? We need more of that. We need more of that in the U.S. We need fact-checking things because there's too much misinformation going around and people just run with it thinking that it's truth.
You're advocating for free speech should not come at the expense of being able to lie to people.
Yes, yeah.
Especially when you know you're doing it.
Yeah, we need. I know this is a fucking an alternate reality. This would happen, but we need fact-based politics. If it should be a law to be fact-based in politics.
And I understand if you're, a random dude with a YouTube. Look at us with the YouTube channel. If we lie, it is what it is.
But we
take
say-
at your own risk.
we
But
say
if
this is
you
our
are
opinion.
a credible source.
Yeah.
You should not be able to lie on social media, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I agree. It's different when
thanks,
you're just
Reagan.
it's different when it's just us because we say many times too, this is
we're
our opinion.
stupid. This is not our job. We're not sitting here.
But we're not
getting-
saying that it's facts. That's the biggest thing.
Right. We're not
Yeah.
reporting anything. We're just reacting as
Giving
a
our
bunch
opinion.
of random people on the internet.
Yeah.
Which I feel like anyone watching us knows what, could agree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you're not coming to us for information. You're coming to us to probably laugh at us for being stupid.
No, a lot of people they like just hearing our opinion
Right. Or hearing our take from...
inside the source. It's
right. Yeah, fucking right. And on behalf of non-MAGA Americans, we apologize.
It's a terrible mistake, not just for the United States of America, but for your own countries.
Translation, do it our way, or there will be
Yeah.
serious
Yeah.
consequences. And those consequences could mean anything, from tariffs to pulling defense support, or, as we've already seen, meddling in European politics. And then there's Ukraine, where let's just say Europe is being kept entirely out of the equation. When asked whether both Ukrainians and Europeans would be involved in peace talks, the US-Ukraine envoy, Keith Kellogg, made his opinion clear.
Can you assure this audience that Ukrainians will be at the table and Europeans will be at the table?
The answer is no. The answer to the earlier part of that question
Shocker.
is yes. Of course the Ukrainians are going to be at the table.
Well, at least he's honest, right? But is this fair? Europe has actually spent more on supporting Ukraine than the US, yet somehow it doesn't get a say in the future of the war it has helped sustain. One would think that as a major financial and military contributor, the EU would have a seat at the table. But apparently, in Trump's world, only Washington and Moscow get to negotiate Europe's security and Ukraine's future. And it-
Yeah.
I didn't even
I-
know that, if I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know that Europe helped fund more.
I didn't know that either, to be honest. It's just
Europe
because
as a whole.
yeah, our headlines are always saying of how much money we're giving to Ukraine, and a lot of conservative news outlets always say like, look, another waste of money, stuff like that. But yeah, I think Trump. I think he's friends with Putin, but I think they're making a deal together for Putin to take over a lot of Ukrainian land, and then Russia will get a benefit from them or something like that, or Trump will and other billionaires.
Again, we're sorry.
Gets even better. According to Trump's proposed peace plan, Europe, not the US, will be responsible for guarding the new border between Russia and the rest of the continent. Now let's break this down. If this peace plan follows a Korea-style demilitarized zone model, a 250-kilometer buffer zone between North Korea and South Korea, Europe will be dealing with a border around that's 8 times the length of Korea's DMZ. For reference, the US keeps 25,000 troops in Korea and spends roughly $3.4 billion per year on their presence. Applying the same model to Ukraine, a minimum of 200,000 troops would need to be deployed at an annual cost of $28 billion. And that doesn't even account for the cost of actually building the DMZ, which could easily exceed $100 billion. Oversimplified? Yes. But the scale of what's being suggested is absurd. And the US expects Europe to take on this massive financial and military burden while also excluding it from the actual decision-making process.
That's fucking crazy.
Seems a little insane. And what about Ukraine? Apparently, even Zelensky is being sidelined in negotiations over his own country's future. In fact, he reportedly wasn't even informed about a US-Russia meeting in Saudi Arabia, a meeting where Washington and Moscow will be discussing Ukraine's fate.
Ukraine will never accept deals made behind our backs without our involvement.
And yet President Trump has already started delegitimizing him, casually suggesting that Zelensky might soon be out of the picture.
Freezing out President Zelensky of this process a bit. Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's there, but at some point you're going to have elections too. You're going to have an election.
You're so weird.
With European leaders increasingly frustrated by being sidelined, Macron has now called an emergency summit to discuss, hopefully, what an actual European-led peace initiative might look like. The meeting happened today, on Monday, and if noteworthy, we will create a video with its results. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay informed. In our opinion, this needs to stop. Is Vice President Vance right that EU overregulates? Probably. Is he right that European democracies could be improved? Sure, all democracies can. But this isn't a conversation among allies. These really seem like threats.
Yeah.
Europe has spent too long keeping its head in the sand, outsourcing its security to the US, energy to Russia, and trade to China. And that era is over. It needs to be over. It really is time for strategic autonomy. And at least one European leader is offering a clear vision for what that might look like.
3 years of full-scale war have proven that we already have the foundation for a united European military force. And now, as we fight this war and lay the groundwork for peace and security, we must build the armed forces of Europe so that Europe's future depends only on Europeans. And decisions about Europe are made in Europe.
That would actually make sense. I'm surprised that there is no European army.
I mean, that would require them all to get along.
Come together and be...
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, most European countries do get along. I don't know. You guys will be able to say better than me, but I feel like they can definitely probably align on not liking us. All right.
Europe has everything it takes. Europe just needs to come together and start acting in a way that no one can say no to Europe. This isn't about replacing the alliance. This is about making Europe's contribution to our partnership equal to America's. And we need the same approach when it comes to diplomacy, working together for peace. A few days ago, President Trump told me about his conversation with Putin. Not once did he mention that America needs Europe at the table. That says a lot. The old days are over when America supported Europe just because it always had.
It really is ironic that it's a non-EU leader who's making the...
Actually, I didn't even notice. I like that they put opinion on the top.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying more of our news should do that.
Right.
That'd be great if our news was fact and then opinion, so people could be oh, sorry.
Well,
I hate how much...
I feel like you should know if it's an opinion or
yeah,
not.
you would think that most people do, but most people just hear something and they run with it thinking it's a fact instead of saying like, that maybe this isn't true, but let me just look into
no,
it.
because I'm saying objectively, you can tell by how someone is speaking if it's a fact or opinion. But a lot of these facts
they're framed in a way that sounds like it is true.
Right. And that's not an opinion. You should still know.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact, but it could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Expecting that
they're trying to
discernment.
sell it as
I know, but expecting that discernment from everyone is a little too much expectation.
I understand, but it doesn't make it an opinion just because someone's lying.
Yeah.
It makes it a lie.
Yeah, I know.
Clearest case for European defense independence. And like it or not, the message is super clear. Europe stands at a crossroads. Either we unite as 27 member states, forging a true unified foreign policy and a true defense union, or we cling to the status quo, watching from the sidelines as Uncle Sam continues making decisions for us, not with us. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
And to support us further, please consider joining us on Patreon. Every contribution helps us bring you more in-depth discussions on Europe's future. Also, we have the German elections next week, so check out...
Yeah, I mean, that would require everyone to put their shit to the side and...
I feel like Europe would be able to do that much sooner than us.
Of course.
Like, to unite.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I know that Europe is divided too, a lot, like within their own states and certain places. I know there's a lot of division. Like, Germany has a lot of division right now. That's just what I hear because of like the far right parties gaining a lot of traction, and the UK as well. But I don't know. I like the way this channel put that together. EU Made Simple. I'll put the original in the description. Yeah, I think they used nice visuals, and the guy talking, he was nice. Yeah, a lot of Europeans in the comments are saying, that they
I feel like if
agree.
A lot of Europe did come together, it would empower other parts of the world
to come together
too.
Yeah, I think
to realize that they are a lot more powerful than we like to make them feel.
I think most of the United States underestimates Europe and think of, like, I think our people in power usually, especially now, is what I'm saying, like conservatives, I think they think that Europe is probably weaker than, what they are if you guys were to come together.
Yeah, because
they underestimate the power of what they could be. That's what I mean.
It's because we put so much money into our military, and not every.
Yep, not every country does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it makes sense because you guys put things for your people that benefit your people.
So I mean, it'd be crazy to see a world like where that would play out.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to be happening soon if we continue this rhetoric.
I just hate having to. I don't know. I hate seeing the world always have some chaotic.
Yeah. Well, we're creating rivals instead of allies from this.
It just feels so unproductive.
It does. Yeah, I also I hate like knowing that we might travel somewhere and like immediately think like, oh fuck, Americans, like with all this shit going on.
I'm from Canada. I don't know.
I know we should honestly be like, no, we're Canadian.
Just don't look at our passports. Speaking of passports, I just got my new one. I renewed it. Brian's should be here any day now.
No, they said they said that they're gonna ship it out in the next 24 to 48 hours.
So meaning it would be here any day, like in the next week is any day.
Week or two, yeah.
That's any day. For someone who says the other day but means 6 months ago, I don't think you're the one that should be correcting me on time frames, because we want to leave. But I'm also worried because there's all these random ass plane crashes. I don't know if we're just hearing about it more.
No,
now.
I was actually I was reading some
Toronto?
comments. I was reading some comments from some people who work
in aviation.
In aviation, yeah, and they're saying it's safe right now still.
Okay,
they're saying that
because I know that they're understaffed too, and it's like
yes, but they're saying that they're just highlighting. They're highlighting more of them than usual.
Yeah. But I know a lot of them have been like smaller planes, which I know is not uncommon.
Yeah.
But when I saw that Delta flight that was flipped over when they landed in from Toronto.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That looked insane. Luckily, everyone's fine.
That was crazy. Yeah. But all right.
Okay.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Leave in the comments, please, your own opinions and what you think about the situation. And
go subscribe and then also thumbs up. Do all those little thingies if you can.
And subscribe to our vlog channel. We have a video that just came out at the same time as this about us thrift shopping in Los Angeles.
We filmed this video a month and a half ago, and I have not had the will to put it together up until recently because
it's a work of art. Okay, go watch it.
I just personally have been feeling so not even overwhelmed because that's just like a normal base level for me, but every day feels like a new level of hell.
Yeah.
Here. And
from inside the source, we're coming to you live. Loner.
People have it way worse than us.
I know. I'm just kidding. All right. Peace out, guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening.